Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to Apex Racing TV's coverage of the iRacing IMSA Official Sportscar Championship. Here for week number 4 of the official championship here at Road Atlanta. My name's Scott Newton, and alongside me as always is Daniel Leet. Welcome, Daniel. Road Atlanta, certainly one of the more popular tracks as well, but with Petit Le Mans coming up this week, what are your thoughts heading into tonight's event?
Yeah, good evening, Scott, and all the viewers tuning in. Road Atlanta is a fantastic little circuit. Obviously, as you say, Petit Le Mans coming up this weekend for iRacing as well, so going to have a lot of interest in that. But the circuit itself is absolutely fantastic. A lot of elevation change, a lot of tricky technical corners, especially once you get off the top of the hill down towards the bottom of the S's there, and some really fantastic overtaking opportunities. So drivers are in for a lot of everything tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. We just got 3 minutes of qualifying left at the moment. Huge field. We had 66 people that I'm aware of signed up for tonight's event. So there was 2 splits going on right at this moment. But looking at tonight's event with the weather, if I'm able to bring that up just quickly, got an evening start tonight, 19:25 in sim time with a 20 degree ambient with a 22 degree track. So there'll be lots of grip out there for those drivers tonight, with lots of potential overtaking opportunities as well. So it should be an exciting event tonight.
Yeah, definitely, and obviously being so late in the evening as well is going to potentially see us going into the night here as well, which with a circuit that's not extremely well lit up, going to make it very challenging not only for us to see what's going on, but also the drivers out there to make sure they're getting the passes done smoothly and clear.
So just running through the provisional standings and qualifying at the moment, we've got Timo Toika in the Seoul Daytona prototype tonight. He's currently on the overall pole position of a 1 minute 12.99. And then in the GTE category, we've got Mikel Gad in the Ford GT on pole with a 1 minute 14.79. Yavi Villa in second place and Dylan Pereira in third. And then in the GT3 category, we've got Christian Gruber in the provisional pole position at the moment, Mark Hutchinson in second, and Tomas Sipos in third. So some very, very close times throughout the field, especially in GT3. We've got a little bit of a gap between first and second, being about half a second, but from second all the way back to about the top 5, it's separated by less than a tenth and a half second.
Yeah, and it's also great that not only is it so close, we're also getting that across a couple of different car manufacturers as well. We do have a Sol Audi out there tonight in the hands of Tomas Spoyas, so good to see him taking that car out. But as you say, not that far behind in third position overall. And we know Audi traditionally has been pretty hard to get over the curbs and that, but putting on a good effort at the moment. Out front in the GTE field, it's a great mix of all categories. We've got 4 in the top 5 positions there with a couple of Fords, BMW, Ferrari, and a Porsche. So all manufacturers very well represented at the moment.
Yeah, certainly got Andrew Dyson trying to set another lap time. His best at the moment is a 1 minute 18.94. He's got 15 seconds left across the line on his second lap. Will he get there? I think he will. And will he improve? I think that might have been an invalidated lap time as he did not improve that time. So with the qualifying session about to conclude, we'll be able to take you through the grid for tonight's event. And in the overall pole position, we've got Timo Toika on a 1 minute 12.992, and he's sadly the sole DP out there in the field tonight. But it's great to have him out there in the Daytona prototypes. And then in the GTE field, we got Mikel Gad on the pole position with a 1 minute 14.787. Alongside him is Yavi Villa for 3/10 back. Dylan Pereira in third. David Toth, series regular. It's good to see him back. In fourth position, Bruno Santos in fifth. Jesse Alves in sixth. Marco Weaver 7th. And Slaven Prasina in 8th. Richard Westbrook, it's great to see him back in the 9th position. And in 10th was Taylor Nadebaum. See where I can find the scroll button for the grid. Apologies for that. We've got James Hall in the 11th position, Marcin Gadzinski in the 12th position, Daniel Smith in the 13th, Tony Dibden in 14th, Adalton Barrera in the 15th, and rounding out the GTE field, we've got Stephen Bartholomew, who did not set a time. In the GT3 field, we've got Christian Gruber in the pole position, Mark Hutchinson in the 2nd position, half a second back from the pole time, Tomas Sipos in the 3rd, and Fabio Iotti in 4th position, Aswin Breverin in the 5th position, Trevor Anderson in the 6th position, Yannick Hyman in 7th, Jack Swainpole 8th, David Postle in 9th, and rounding out the top 10 is Andrew Dyson, and the rest of the field in the GT3s are on. We'll scroll through your screen momentarily.
As we see the cars get away, a couple notable regulars getting back out there. It looks like Alan Day not getting a great time in qualifying for himself, finds himself down in 15th overall and 28th outright in that GT3. But probably the notable one you did mention early on, Scott, Richard Westbrook back out there in the Ford. We saw him last season in Mid-Ohio, showing exactly what that Ford's capable of, and probably trying to get in those extra laps before Petit later on in the back end of this year for the IMSA Series official.
Yeah, absolutely. With the, I think the Petit Le Mans this weekend's a 10-hour event, so it's certainly good practice for the guys out there this week that are participating in that. I know that the official broadcaster split on the iRacing Esports Network, I think, is at 1300 GMT on Saturday. So certainly great practice for the guys out there tonight.
Definitely, and while we watch the guys go around, probably a couple of notable corners that we will need to keep an eye out tonight. Obviously, the turn in through the top of the hill, turns 2, 3, before you drop down through the S's, all very blind, and potentially could see some issues later on in the race as the field starts to stretch itself out. Turn 6 and 7, where the guys just coming out of on the way onto the back straight there, you can get a fantastic run if you're able to set the car up in a draft and get some passes done as you make your run down into the chicane at turn 10A and 10B just before you take that crest over the hill. So it's going to be some pretty interesting passing opportunities for the guys out here tonight, and I think based on what we've seen in previous seasons, I think they'll deliver just as much excitement as they have before.
Yeah, you can certainly see the sun going down quite quickly in the background there. There's virtually no light around the track, so it'd be very, very difficult for the drivers, but we're just about to have the pace car take to the pit lane and we'll be able to get underway as
go, green flag.
Timu takes the green flag, and so with being the sole DP, he'll be able to lead overall into turn 1, but in GTEs we've got Mikkel Garde taking the lead into turn 1, Javi Villa in 2nd to Dylan Pereira holding on to 3rd position, Bruno Santos losing the position to David Toth. Tony Dibden breaking up 2 positions in the start there. In GT3, we've got Christian Gruber getting a great start over Mark Hutchinson. Tomas Sipos holding on into 3rd position. And then Alan Day and Jamie Moon getting 1 position each further down the field as well. So fairly clean start for everyone. As I see that Tony Dibden has fallen victim to the outside curb at turn 5 at the moment, so it's very unfortunate for him as we've got GT3s coming through the field to overtake him, and I think he's going to be out of the race very early on, so it's unfortunate for him.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, turn 5, if you do get the run wrong and you catch that curb on the outside, it is very easy to throw the car wide into the wall. As you see there, we've got unfortunate retirement there, but moving back up the field, we were just focusing on Richard Westbrook, currently in the 9th position, up 4 spots from where he started earlier on in the race tonight, so he's already getting a move on in that 4G. Looks like a bit of a retro livery on that car, which we saw earlier in the year for them, but great to see it again, and he's slowly closing up on the back of Slaven Prisina, just in front of him. So that gap, 0.4 of a second at the moment, and knowing how quick Richard is in the car and how much he can save fuel in it, we'll look for him to maybe go very deep into this race.
I know that with the balance of performance that was updated at the start of the season, that most of the cars got a fuel burn update, as I think Messina got it a little bit squirrely on the exit of the turn 5 curb there, and that's allowing Westbrook to try and go around the outside, but not able to do that. He'll try to look for the switchback, but not going to be able to pull it off, as so one of the BMWs behind that's Kaczynski nearly going off the back of Taylor Nadebaum as well. So this battle pack is all within about 2 seconds, about 3/10 of a second between each other, so very, very close. At the moment, we'll see how these drivers progress throughout the field and throughout this race, as Westbrook's not close enough.
No, he's able to sit where he is at the moment, and he should find that car come to him a little further on. Obviously, these guys didn't get the new update time model with this car as yet, but still working the older model, which seems to come on pretty quickly. But if you're able to take a little bit of caution with it, it will pay dividends later on in the race. So look for him to come up. He's getting a little bit of a gap now over Nedbaum just behind him, so that gap now out to 0.3 of a second, and it'll slowly, steadily increase as Nedbaum comes under a little bit of a attack behind him there. But further down the field, the GT3s all seem to be getting away reasonably well. A little bit of action up on screen with Eswin Verin. Got Yanis Hyman just behind him there, so that's a little battle there for 6th and 7th in class, and 22nd, 23rd overall. So even further down the field in this category, the guy's still putting on a good show and fighting for those positions.
Yeah, so we've got Andrew Dyson coming under all sorts of pressure. So I think he's trying to put the pressure on David Possell into the back of turns 7 and 8. So he's trying to get the run out of that final, out of that right-hander there. It's all over the back of the gearbox of that Mercedes. He'll look to go the inside at the moment, but I don't think he's got enough of a run. Now Postel going defensive. It's not close enough to make the overtake, and good defensive driving there from Postel.
Absolutely, and that will bring also Alan Day into this fight as well, as these guys seem to continue to battle just ahead there. So Alan putting on some pretty good pace, coming up 5 or 8 spots from where he started earlier on in the race tonight. So look for him to work his way a little further up, maybe just dropping off a touch now, but still 0.3 of a second behind as the guys work their way up towards the top of the hill.
Getting very, very close is Alan Day. At the moment, we're on board with Andrew Dyson at the moment. So 0.7 of a second quicker last time was Alan Day, so he'll certainly be looking to get past Andrew Dyson as quick as he can. But this is the closest battle in GT3 at the moment. We've also got Mark Hutchinson and Tomas Sipos. The battle for second place in GT3s as well. This gap is around 0.7 of a second at the moment, so Hutchinson opening up that gap just a little bit last time around, only 1/10 of a second gain last time around, but we'll see as they come across the line this time around for what their lap times are. Hutchinson on a 18.5 and it's Sipos on a 18.4, so I think that gap's pretty much neutralised over the course of the last 2 laps.
Yeah, both drivers there are only within 1/10 of a second last time by, so not a lot of room in it, but they'll continue to fight on strong. We've got Jesse Alvarez on the back of Marco Weaverin, just up ahead of him in the... Jesse Alvarez and Slaven Prisina going at it as well. So this is a good little scrap here for 7th and 8th in class at the moment, and only a couple of 10ths of a second separating actually all 3 cars at the moment. So Porsche, Ferrari and BMW, Porsche, Ferrari and Ford, sorry, all very, very close together on track.
Yeah, Alva's not been able to get the run up the inside of that Porsche of Weaver. Certainly the Ferrari has a huge advantage in a straight line, but maybe not so in terms of the cornering abilities. But Alves all over the gearbox of Weaver. It's actually Weaver that was quicker last time around. It was only 800th of a second, but still opened up that gap just a tiny little bit.
And all three cars looking to come down the hill very well, and just watching the guys behind that battle with Westbrook, Nadeem and Gadinsky as well coming down as well. Those guys all taking a pretty solid one-way line as we drop back to that little battle just behind, and this is now turning into 4 cars here, so the fight's still on pretty solidly. Richard Westbrook maybe just getting a little bit of a gap at the moment, but the guys behind certainly pushing to get a move done here.
Just riding on board with Kaczynski at the moment. Yeah, puts at 260 kilometers an hour. He's looking to the inside, but he's not going to be close enough this time. Trying to get back onto the racing line. That'll compromise his run through the chicane. Their gap's pretty much open to about 3 or 4 tenths of a second as nade bombs all over the back of Westbrook at the moment.
And it looks like Richard just taking a pretty conventional line through there, not really going too wide of the standard racing line there, so he's really going to make the guys behind him work to get a move done. And as you can see, it's up just a touch of a gap now, back out to 4 tenths of a second after that run through the top of the hill there. So he's still got plenty of speed in that Ford, and we know from what we've seen in some of the other series that we've had here in Apex that the Ford has been very, very strong. And I think it actually might suit this track a little bit, especially with that long run from turn 7 down to the final chicane there at turn 10.
Yeah, so we're just coming out of the back of turn 7 right now. We'll get the telemetry up just to see what sort of top speed the Ford's able to get. And looking at the BMW in the draft, it was about 260 odd k's an hour, and the Ford just getting that on its own. There is a little bit of assistance from Slaven Prasina just ahead, but he's about a second ahead in terms of draft, so he's not actually getting that much of an advantage at this stage of the race. That gap between Prasina and Westbrook closed in about 4.5 tenths of a second last time around, so maybe a little bit of a mistake for Prasina last time around.
It looks like we also had an incident there with Hall as well, dropping down the order. We didn't see what happened to him, but I caught some lights in the bottom of frame going wide off, so might have to see whether it's possible to get a replay on that one, but he went well wide on that first turn 1.
Yeah, managed to get the replay up right now, and he's coming up behind the BMW. Oh, he's just lost the back end, and he's just clouded the wall, and that's not going to be very good for his chances of gaining any more positions tonight. But in saying that, though, he's fallen back into the last position on the track at the moment, so an unfortunate mistake there. Very, very fast turn 1. It's like a light brake and a downshift to chuck the car in there, and sadly the balance has not been right in that Ferrari, and sadly Hall's paid the price for that one. As we got bit of an incident that's happened between Alves and Westbrook, I think. It looked as though that it was Alves that got loose at the entry to turn 10A, and I think Prasina was able to get through that. But there was a contact with Westbrook in the aftermath of that, so unfortunate for both Alves and Westbrook. Both find themselves in 10th and 11th position in GTE at the moment. So we've got James Hall into the pit lane as well.
Yeah, that was a little unfortunate there for Richard there. He didn't really have any room to try and avoid that, especially being in the middle of turn 10 there. So unfortunate for both these guys. They will get a bit of damage off that. Hopefully they can use a repair and hopefully get back out when they do come through for their stops. But being still 35 minutes away, it's a long way to go in this race. As we see up front, Dylan Pereira and David Toth battling over third and fourth respectively. These guys still putting on a pretty good run. Pereira and Toth both up one spot from where they've started tonight, and actually putting a little bit of a gap on Yavi Villa, who was just ahead of him in the BMW off the grid there, but they've got themselves now a nice healthy little 2.5 second lead over Yavi, and extending it as they go.
Yeah, this is the battle for the top three. That was David Toth going very, very wide at the first part of the S's there. That was pretty ragged stuff there from Toth, but manages to keep it going. Trying everything he can to close up on the back of Pereira last time around. He was 3 or 4 tenths quicker last time around. I've got the graphic up at the moment for the Delta. So yeah, gap at the moment is only 1/6 of a second as they're heading into 10A and 10B right now. They're on lap number 11, coming up to lap number 11.
And where these guys are on track at the moment, they are starting to close up on the back of a bit of GT3 field, or GT3 traffic, sorry, just ahead of them. We've got positional 28th and 29th, which is Caxton Poon and Ben Lilwin, just up ahead of these guys as well. So we'll keep an eye on that as they work their way through. James Mooney up on screen at the moment. Bit of a quiet race for him, sitting in 12th in class at the moment, 25th overall. Up 7 spots from where he started, so having a very good run tonight so far, but a little further down probably ideally than where he wants to be. And Tamias Siponest on the back of Mark Hutchison. This battle's still raging on for 2nd and 3rd in class.
Yeah, I just noticed that Fabio Iotti was on the back of this 2-car battle as well, so battle for 2nd, 3rd and 4th in the GT3 category, very much hot on the heels at the moment of Hutchison. Gruber's got a 10-second lead at the moment, so he's broken the field very, very nicely at this stage of the race. Coming out to 14 minutes to lap, so just under a third of this race completed. And it looks...
sorry, Scott, you go ahead, mate.
No, yeah, I was just going to say that Hutchison was able to gap Sipos last time around, but that may have been due to traffic, as we caught, I think, it's at one of the green Mercedes at the back of this train right now.
It looks like a nice pass down the inside to turn 10, so Iotti doing a good run there. Actually, it was Vivarin getting a move done there, so that was a very decisive move down through 10A, gets the position and maintains it across the line there, so that'll put him up into fourth in class at the moment, so a good run for him, up 6 spots from where he started early on. And the lap time's been pretty consistent at the moment. Last time by was a 1:18.4, and he was just a couple of tenths quicker than Iotti just behind him by about 2/10 of a second, so the pace in that car seems to be coming on strong for him now.
Yeah, I've just seen that Gazinski's on into the pit lane. He has not come out of the pit lane, so we'll just go... Oh, it's that Reverend having a small spin.
I think that was actually assisted because we had Team Taika coming through in the DPI as well, and I think just misjudged that, so we'll have to possibly see whether that can come up on replay. But yeah, that looks like an incident involving both those.
Yeah, it's just brought up the replay right now, so Taika up on the inside there. Yeah, unfortunately he's just misjudged that, and Reverend being an unfortunate innocent party there, you find himself behind Yannick Hyman, but he's certainly got himself back underway right now. He'll try to gain back the 6 seconds that he lost from that contact, but you never know with the aid of the draft, he might be able to close that up. very, very quickly. He's just going to go for the move up the inside now. And he's going to get the pass done. So just the time loss from that contact. Unfortunate there for Reverend, but still finds himself in the 6th position currently.
Yeah, a bit of an unfortunate incident to have befallen him there. He is still managing to extend the gap out a little further. Looks like Alan Day back up a position as well, as we see a couple of guys dropping back in for their pits. So Dyson, I think, fallen off the track there, drops himself back down. But up front, the guys are doing very, very good.
Yeah, the battle for 2nd, 3rd and 4th in GT3 at the moment, still within 1.2 seconds. See Hutchison last time around with an 18.9. Same with Sipos. So coming across the line this time, Hutchison opened the gap up 0.3 with 18.6. And Sipos being very consistent with that 18.9. But IOT managing an 18.2, so he's closed up very, very nicely up into this battle pack here. So we'll see what he can do.
Definitely, I think a lot of that will come down to maintaining that tyre strategy and continuing on as we jump up the front. Mikhail Gardi coming in to be challenged at the moment by Dylan Pereira as well in the Ferrari. So great to see the Ferrari closing up on the back of the Ford. They're working through a little bit of lap traffic at the moment as they work their way down the hill here and turn up through turn 5 now. But 2nd place Pereira getting all over the back of him.
Yeah, that compromise line from Goad was due to GT3 traffic. They've managed to successfully negotiate that at this time. To see a couple of, I think there was a blue and green Mercedes that was jumping out of the way, who's getting lapped through his own class. So gap at the moment is back out to half a second between Pereira and Goad. This is the lead for GTE at the moment. David Toth is a further 1.8 seconds back.
And with these guys working their way down over the hill through to turn 11 at the moment, they've got a fair bit of GT3 traffic ahead of them. So that's certainly going to come into play as we nearly see a collision between the 2nd place car of Pereira there, and we see a Mercedes going very wide. So that's a little unfortunate there as a result of that contact. But yeah, the traffic's certainly going to start coming into contention here now.
Yeah, that was David Postle that was off track from that collision with Pereira. It's unfortunate for him, as he is still going on underway. He's fallen back behind Damien Krugers at the moment. So this is the closest battle. We'll see that Toth has jumped ahead of Pereira. See what happened there. So they just missed that. So yeah, we're coming up into turn 6 and 7. And yeah, it's just off the back end. So there's a bit of contact as well from Dave Toth. So yeah, Pereira just getting back underway now, but with that aero damage that Toth has sustained, that might hurt his chances for trying to take the win tonight, as the gap's opened up to 4.2 seconds at the moment.
Now, it was a little bit of an unfortunate forced error there, so that damage, say, not going to be ideal. You might get a little bit of it repaired when the guys do come down for their stop. They obviously will have one pit stop tonight that we don't expect tyres to be taken, as we see Mercedes running very, very wide and heavily into the wall down at turn 5. I didn't catch who that was, but that was a very weird one. Looks like the car just went straight on into the wall there, so hopefully they're able to get back underway. But yeah, it looks like we're going to start seeing pit stops come up pretty soon here.
Yeah, typically Road Atlanta's a high fuel burn circuit, just due to the nature of how much you're at full throttle throughout this track. Even though it might not seem as though it might be high, I've had I've been in series in the past and also commentated on races where fuel burn's been certainly the talking point for the whole event, and this will be no exception.
No, that's saying a lot of the guys now have really started to get on top of managing that fuel. They know how much they can cut it down. Obviously, there's a few bits of software aid that do help, the likes of JRT, as we've got another car spinning at the top of the hill there, that certainly do help and aid the guys in getting it right. But a lot of guys, should say, really work on fine-tuning those fuel numbers just to get the least amount in there, and also have the slowest stop, or the quickest stop, sorry, as much as possible as well.
Going to bring our attention back to this battle. Hutchison and Sipos in GT3. Gaps only at 1/10 of a second. Sipos trying to look up the inside, and he's going to get the job done. It's a great move there for Sipos, who moves up into second place in class. Christian Gruber has further extended his lead. This leads up to about 14.5 seconds, so certainly going to be a matter of time for Gruber before he takes the checkered flag. He's got just under half race distance to go, so we'll likely see a 35 to 36 lap race here tonight as Yavi Villas entered the pit lane. So first of the GTE front runners to blink into the pit lane, as Jack Swainpole decided to take to the pit lane as well. GT3.
And that's pretty well in line with what we've seen traditionally throughout the last couple of seasons here on the IMSA series, that most guys tend to come in around that 23 to 25 minute mark and get those stops completed and underway. We do see a few guys try and really stretch those windows though, so we'll keep an eye on that later on as we keep an eye on Marco Weaver, and just sitting in 15 class at the moment in the Porsche, got a little bit of lap traffic just ahead of him, but Slaven Prasuna not too far behind, 0.6 of a second, and these guys are actually starting to extend their gap over Richard Westbrook in the other Ford, currently sitting in 7th. That gap now out to 3.5 seconds.
Just going to bring up the delta between Westbrook and Christina. The gap's actually stayed relatively stable at between 2.9 and 3.2, so as we've got a little bit of traffic there for Westbrook, we'll open up the gap a little bit more this time round. It's probably cost him about a tenth or two this time round, so still fairly consistent there for Westbrook, which is good to see after his little incident down at Turner 10A probably 5 or 6 laps ago, I think it was, if I'm not mistaken. Might have been a little bit more than that, but still able to recover from his earlier incident.
Yeah, that damage, as you say, doesn't seem to really be impacting him too much. The lap time for the car a little bit slower than what we've traditionally seen. His quickest lap out here so far was a 1:15.99, so the car certainly, when it's hooked up, going very well. Last time by for him, however, was a 1:18, so a fair bit off on the outright pace. But the guy that he did have contact with, we got him up on screen, Tyler Nadabum, running a little bit slower. Looks like he came in for his stop last time by, did a slow out lap 1:43, but overall consistency in the car prior to that incident, the speed was quite good, as we've got quite a few more cars coming down the lane in that GT3 field, as you can see to the left of screen now. Hutchinson's in, Iotti's in, Riverin and Hyman also in the lane for their respective stops as well.
So the only GT3 that has not taken to the pit lane as of yet, that's on the lead lap in that class, is Tomas Sipos. He's got 21-second gap. Sorry, no, it's a 16-second gap over Gruber at the moment. But looking at the times between the leaders in that class, averaging between a 44.5 second transit time and a 52-second transit time. Looks as though that Fabio Iotti took a little bit too much fuel. or missed his pit box. So that will cost him quite a lot, as he's only 0.3 of a second behind, oh sorry, in front of Alande. So I'll line up 10 spots, so he's having a great race at the moment.
Yeah, he's coming up a long way. Obviously qualifying wasn't the best for him out there tonight, but race pace certainly been on point for him so far. Completed his pit stop last time by, and the out lap was a 1:54.3, which is pretty comparable to what we've seen from a lot of other cars out there. A relatively quick stop as well, 15.35 seconds, so not a lot of time in the lane for Alain there, but he's got himself set on the back of Fabio Iotti, and looking at the pace differential, wouldn't be too far before we maybe see him even get a positional change there.
Also see that Richard Westbrook and Daniel Smith have taken to the pit lane as well, so a few more GTEs are starting to come down to the pit lane. Just as I see that Alan Day is trying to make a move on Iotti, didn't get the run that time out of turn 3, so that the timing swim was within 1/10 of a second, so there was potential for the overtake there, but Iotti firmly closing the door.
Yeah, it's good smart driving though by Iotti. It's going to really force Day to think up the move and explore the options of where he can get past the jump to an on-board shot. And actually might be a good time, we'll stick on board here for a lap and just give you a bit of a bird's eye view of what it's like for these guys going around at night in the dark with not having a lot of track lighting to help guide their way around. That was a lap on board with Alande around the Road Atlanta circuit. We saw him getting a fantastic run out of turn 10, 10B there, and getting a move done down the hill on Fabio Iotti. That promotes him up into 6th in class, 19th overall, and was actually able to extend a bit of a gap that time by, and currently finds himself now with a bit of an advantage of about half a second over Iotti as they work their way down through turn 5, and that gap is going to seesaw here, I think, for the remainder of this little fight.
Yeah, just past the 30-minute mark, so 2/3 of the race has elapsed. David Toth and Dylan Pereira into the pit lane as well, so the first of the GTE leaders have come out of the pit lane, and Bruno Santos as well into the lane. So Prasena's deciding to continue on as well, so he'll inherit 2nd in class for the time being.
These guys have really extended the window out quite a fair way as we see all the guys that came in for their stops getting back underway. We'll keep an eye on overall pit stop times just to see if they're in line with everyone else. The quickest I think at the moment has been a 12.6. Our current race leader, Timo Toik, is still going around. He's had a couple of stops as well, but still out front in this one at the moment.
Yeah, very, very close on that exit curb there. We saw how deadly it could be with Tony Dibden at the start of the race. He found himself in the inside wall at the exit of turn 5.
So we also got Mikhail Gad in for his stop as well, so he will relinquish control of the race, I believe, over to Slaven Prasina. Timo Toika not that far away from coming across the line here, so we could potentially see him be re-promoted back up to the lead of this race as Prasuna is in for his.
See where Prasina comes out in relation to Villa. As Villa's already coming through the start-finish line right now, so it'll be a question of whether Weaver is able to get past Prasina. And I don't think he'll be able to, held up by that GT3 traffic as well, so Prasina staying out that extra lap has certainly played wonders for him. Certainly made that overcut work very nice for him. As Timo Toika has taken the lead overall, especially at that 15-second stop. I think that could have that been for tyres. I don't know if he drops into the commentary box afterwards for an interview. Certainly be asking him that question. But I think potentially 15 seconds in the Daytona prototype might have been for tyres as well. So certainly got that margin, given that he's the only prototype here tonight.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. It looks like also Alain Day dropped back behind Fabio Iotti as well. That gap back out to a couple of seconds, so we missed that change of position. So hopefully Alain will jump up in the box later on. We'll be able to have a bit of a chat to find out what happened there for him. But for the guys out front, still pushing on extremely well. As we've got a bit of a replay up here at the moment. That's Iotti on screen. Actually, Day running very wide into the wall and then coming back on track and being collected there, so that explains what's happened there for him.
So this is the closest battle on the track at the moment. We've got Yannick Hyman and Edwin Reverin battle for 4th and 5th in the GT3s at the moment. Last time around for Hyman was a 1 minute 18.3. Bring that to Reverin on a 19.1. So maybe a small mistake for Reverin last time around.
And being in the dark too, it's something that's very easy to do, make those small little mistakes and errors and drop a wheel off tracks, which do ultimately cost you a lot of time, as we can really see Reverend getting up on the back here, or Hyman as they work their way down through turn 1, and that gap really closing up to just on a 1/10 of a second.
As Reverend running a little bit wide there at the exit of turn 3. So one of the GTE cars behind him as well. So we're going to find out who that is. I think that's Slav Prasina trying to put a lap on these two. So Prasina's got to go down the inside. That'll open up this gap slightly as well to 1.1 seconds.
I don't think that'll hurt too much, because we will see Reverend getting a bit of a tow as well to help close back up, so that gap should be easily done. But the GTE traffic will be able to get clear of this battle pretty quickly here. You'll see him take a dive down to the chicane as he does on cue, down the inside, and that will ultimately close that battle back.
Yeah, not a great run for Hyman last time around, as Ververin getting the better run on the exit there. Yeah, this gap's actually closed right back up to 0.3 of a second, which was what it was previously. And it looks as though that all of the gaps between the whole field at the moment is pretty much spread out, apart from this one on the track right now. Gaps averaging around a second to 2 seconds between the GTEs at the moment. Still fairly close between each of the drivers, but one small mistake could certainly still result in not so much of a great event. But Hutchison as well. Did I see him pull out the timing screen as well? I think
I'm not sure if that was Hutchinson or not, but looks like we almost saw Weaverin get into the back as well with the GT3 traffic there through turn.
yeah, I'm not sure what to make of that replay that I just brought up. Certainly, yeah, just trying to make sure I got it all right from my standpoint. But yeah, on the timing screen it said that Hutchison passed Hyman for the 16th place overall. So Hutchinson finds himself back in 3rd place in class. Sipos is about 4.2 ahead, so he's managed to gap quite nicely throughout the second stint.
Yeah, definitely. That gap still just ticking on between Hyman and River in 0.8 of a second at the moment, so not a lot left in it. We're closing in on the 5 minutes to go mark, and looks like everyone's now got all their stops completed for the night. A couple of notable retirements at the moment. I believe it looks like Richard Westbrook's out, Jamie Moon, Dylan Chiriz, and quite a few other guys have fallen victim out here tonight, which is a little unfortunate to see. Returning back up front, we've got Dave Toth up on screen at the moment, currently circulating in 2nd outright in class. Finds himself still 15 seconds behind Mikhail. Mikhail's really walked away strong with this one, but Pereira's starting to close that gap back in, just under a second now, as they work their way through turn 6 and 7 up onto that long kink of a back straight for the run down in towards turn 10.
Yeah, I noticed that the gap was closing in ever so slightly last time around, that Pereira was only 0.06 of a second quicker, but certainly flashing the lights to try and distract David Toth and force him into a mistake. Still got just over 5 minutes to go, so we'll get, I reckon, another four laps after this one. See that Timu is out of the exit of turn 5 at the moment.
Yeah, Timu's put quite a solid race together. Looks like that DPI been a little unsettled in a couple of corners. You can hear it really screeching the tyres there, trying to get through turns 6 and 7 there on the back straight. He's got a little bit of lap traffic further down the road. He's just flashing those lights just to make them aware of himself at the moment, but he's currently circulating up towards the back of position 11, which is Alton Moriera, so a little bit of a way to go before we see him close up on that, but just trying to let the guys know as he comes down on any opportunity that he is on the way.
Yeah, Toika's still circulating within half a second of his best time, apart from that lap. Last time around there might have been a little bit of traffic at the start of the lap that slowed him down that time around. But when he hasn't got traffic, he's certainly been very, very consistent in the mid-13s. Oh, so we got a big accident. on the back straight there. Let's see if we can bring that up quickly. So we've got Parker Weaver on screen. And there's a bit of a collision up ahead from him.
It looks like a couple of cars involved. The Ford GT looks to have been trying to place a move on one of the GT3 back markers there, and looks like these guys just trip over each other there and into the wall, which is really unfortunate.
Yeah, definitely. I think there was a bit of miscommunication between Postle and Prasina. I think Postle was trying to get out of the way, but Prasina was already up the inside there, and Postle just closed the door, and that led to the contact.
Yeah, it's something we see a lot of, the guys just not grabbing hold of that brake pedal and stopping the cars rolling back onto the circuit, because that collected a couple of additional cars that really didn't need to be involved in that one there. So a little unfortunate for that, and something that a little bit of racecraft to work on later on, just with grabbing those brakes when they do have an issue. But we've dropped back here to Adelton Morieri. He's got Daniel Smith on the back of him, so a couple of Porsches going at it with just under 2 minutes to go at the back end of this race, and we'll see potentially for a positional change here.
So Smith up at the inside, and great move. Going a little bit defensive there into exit of turn 7. Not sure what that was all about, but that'll compromise his run and allow Moreira to close up the back of Smith. Doing all sorts of weaving to try and break the draft, but that'll increase your distance that you have to cover. That'll allow Moreira to close right back up into the gearbox of Smith. Smith able to hold on at this time, as we're under 1:30 to go. Just quickly go back up to the battle for P2 in GTE. Toth and Pereira gap is only 4/10 of a second this time around, so Pereira's been closing ever so slightly. Last time around, he lost about 1/10.5 last time around. As Timu Toika is on the back straight right now, he will have one more lap to go after this one.
That will allow these guys a little extra time to fight this battle out as they work their way up towards the double right-hander there, turn 6 and 7. You see a little bit of a flash of the lights from Pereira, just trying to let him know that he's still interested in going for this move. But if these guys tangle at all, that will potentially open the door for Yavi Villa. He's currently 7 seconds behind this little scrap, but could potentially see himself get promoted up in the event that these two do have a bit of a coming together.
Yeah, Pereira closing it all up on the gearbox of Toth. If he's going to move now, he's got to do it very quickly. Pereira not up the inside far enough this time. He got within a car length. And there will be one more lap to go, so where's Toika? Toika's coming up through turn 6 and 7 at the moment, so yeah, Toika's pretty much had a very, very solid race, as we said. Certainly hasn't put a foot wrong with his race tonight. So that we've being there in the Daytona prototype there tonight, it's certainly left Peter one-man show, to be fair. But in saying that, though, he's certainly kept it on the track at all times throughout the race, and he'll take the 10:45 GMT split for the IMSA Sportscar Championship here, and he'll win the overall race tonight. So congratulations to him. We'll go back to Mikael Gade, who will come across the line to take the win in GTE category. Congratulations to him. He will win by over 17 seconds between Toth and Pereira. See where Gruber is at the moment. Trying to keep my eye on Toth as well. Toth will win. He was able to hold off Pereira, so congratulations to him. And Christian Gruber will take the GT3 category by over 25 seconds. So congratulations to him on taking the win tonight.
And that was a fantastically strong run there from Gruber to get that win. As we see Marco Weaver coming across the line in the Porsche, and that's a solid result for him. Gets himself home in 6th overall.
Yeah, we've just got the final cars coming across the line now. There's not really any close battles that we're aware of, so pretty much everyone else is crossing the line now, as I think that was the final car across the line in Jesse Alves. So we'll be able to bring you the final race results here for the round number 4 of the iRacing official IMSA Sportscar Championship, and Timo Teucher takes the overall win, 19 seconds ahead of Mikhail Gade, who takes the GTE category win. And congratulations to both of those drivers. David Toth in 2nd, and Dylan Pereira in 3rd in the class, 3rd and 4th overall. Yavi Villa rounds out the top 5 overall. Bruno Santos in 6th, Marco Weaver 7th, Taylor Nadebaum in 7th, in 8th position, Jesse Alves in 9th, and rounding out the top 10 was Slaven Brasina. Stephen Bartholomew in 11th, Daniel Smith and Adalton Moreira in 13th. And rounding out the GTE field that finished on the lead lap, pretty much. And then in the GT3 category, we've got Christian Gruber, who takes the win in that category, Tomas Sepos, and Eswin Vereveren, who rounds out the podium in the GT3s. Mike Hutchison looked strong throughout the early part of the race, but unfortunately he finishes in 4th position in class at 17th overall. Fabio Iarti in 18th position. Alain Day in 19th position, Andrew Dyson 20th, and Jacques Swainpole finishes 4 laps down. Yannick Hyman, I think, was caught up in that collision that involved Racina on the back straight there. So it was unfortunate to see him fall down the field, as he was looking very, very strong in the late part of the race. So Alex Boone in the 23rd position, Damien Krugers in 24th, Richard Westbrook retired, finishes at 25th position, Jamie Moon in 26th, David Possell in 27th, Ben Llewellyn in the 28th position, Sharath Mahadevan in the 29th position, Marcin Kaczynski 30th, James Hall in the 31st position, Trevor Anderson in the 32nd position, and Tony Dibden, I think, managed to only complete 1 lap, as we saw him in the barriers at the exit of turn 5 on the first lap. So those were our retirees and our finishers for the iRacing IMSA Sportscar Championship here tonight. We'll see if we are able to get any driver interviews as well.
While we wait for the drivers to jump in, Scott, what were some of your highlights of the race? I think from what we saw out there tonight, the track seemed to get very, very challenging as the daylight switched from the day to the night, and for the guys out there, it really provided quite a challenge.
Yeah, absolutely. There was a lot of slipstreaming and overtaking, to say the least, but also, which also adds to the challenge of Road Atlanta, but also with the night conditions as well, starting at 19:25 in sim time, certainly provided a lot of challenge out there as well, with only the the driver's headlights effectively lighting up the circuit. So there was certainly a lot of challenge out there as well. A lot of great overtakes and battling. We saw that with Toth, Pereira throughout the race. Prasina putting in a solid effort until his collision on the back straight there. And then in the GT3s as well, we saw that Alan Day was able to get a good run throughout the race. I think up 12 positions at one point, as well with Christian Gruber as well taking a dominant win. I think 25 seconds at the end there.
Yeah, I think that was, I should say, that was really well key to it all. And while we mentioned Alan Day, we might bring him up. He's jumped up for an interview, and we'll get him up here just to have a chat to find out how his race went. Obviously, ran quite well up 12 positions from where he started, but it'd be great to get his perspective on how the race was. G'day, Alan. Congratulations on the race, mate. Up 12 positions from where you started. Come home 6th overall in class and 19th outright. How was it out there for you?
We're still working on the setup at the moment. We're actually trying to focus a little bit more on the consistency side at the moment because it's Petit Le Mans week this week. So we're not focusing on outright pace. We're just trying to make sure that the car feels comfortable throughout the entire race, just making sure. I'm actually quite lucky that this race is actually going from late sunset into night because that is actually when I'm supposed to be starting my part of the race during the Petit Le Mans this week as well. So I'm glad about that. So I can actually get some practice in by actually doing IMSA races rather than just putting on a random practice session through the week.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's a key thing, especially with the 10 hours going from that day to night transition. But for yourself out there and a bit of a driver's perspective for the viewers in there, how did you find that challenge? Obviously, it was pretty late in the day when the race kicked off, but going from the daylight to a track that's not exceptionally well lit, how did you find the challenge out there for that?
For me, it's not been too bad. I think it's a matter of who can actually pick out. I've actually trying to picture where they are on the track. Like for some drivers who aren't as experienced going into that, which I put on, I brought it up before in a previous interview. It's a matter of who can actually cope with the transition the best. Like I rode Atlanta's not the best on lighting, as you say, but because of it being especially dark, you have to look around you to find where the breaking points are for when you go into that difficult part of the race.
Yeah, definitely. I think if you're able to get those brake markers right, as you say, and not rely on the likes of a shadow or something like that, it certainly will help you further on in the race. Next week, we move on to a new circuit again for the guys. We're jumping from Road Atlanta to Circuit of the Americas. Obviously, quite a big difference in track configuration, length, and style. Is there anything you can potentially take from what you've been able to run so far this week and maybe after the longer 10-hour event at Petite to Circuit of the Americas at all?
Well, I definitely get a much better understanding of the car. Like as you said, it's going to be totally different from doing this particular race compared to what we've just done. I believe it's probably going to be right in the middle of the day. I could be wrong, but obviously I'm going to be doing a little bit of practicing just before the race itself next week. Then that way I can get used to it because it'll be my first time GT3s. If I go on to what momentum I've been able to carry out from racing in GTEs, it should be a pretty good finish for me in particular because I tend to do pretty well at the track, even though it's not my sort of starter track.
Fantastic, right? Well, look, we'll let you go. Enjoy the race. Obviously, well done to yourself. Up 12 spots from where you started, coming home 19th overall and 6th in class. It was a fantastic run, mate. But before we let you go, is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out and a thanks?
Well, the E-Team Brit team definitely. Like we're going to be working. We've been working hard already through the last couple of weeks, trying to make sure that the setup's going to work throughout the entire race and into this week as well. We're going to be doing some more practice during the week leading up to it. So we're just going to be focusing hard and trying to keep that momentum going into Petit Le Mans and hopefully try and get a great result. But they've definitely been helping out quite a lot in the background from the rest of the drivers I'm going to be driving with to the team manager and even a race engineer as well. Like everybody's been a very, very good help to try and get the car up to best possible position. Hopefully, we'll be able to get a good result out of all of it.
Yeah, definitely. Well, look, mate, we'll let you go. Enjoy the night. Thanks again for putting on a fantastic run out there tonight. And as I say, congratulations on the finishing position. We'll look forward to catching you out there next.
Thank you, guys.
That was Alan Day, finishing 6th outright in class and 19th overall in the GT3 field. And doesn't look like we've got any other viewers or interviewers coming up. Scott, did you want to take us through the upcoming events for Apex?
Yeah, absolutely. Just quickly, whilst I go through the upcoming events for the week, we've got BSR MX5 later on tonight on the iRacing Esports Network. That'll be on at 19:15 GMT, and then on Wednesday we've got Sim Racers World, the GT3 Championship. That'll be on Wednesday at 1900 GMT. The ARL TCR as well. That'll be on the Thursday. Actually, if I can scroll across that, the ARL TCR is actually on a week off, so sadly no ARL TCR. Those three series of broadcasts on the iRacing Esports Network, but our next broadcast on this channel will be on Friday for the iRacing official IndyCar Road Series. That'll be on Friday at 20 GMT, so that'll be the next broadcast on this channel as well, but just be certain to tune in on both the iRacing Esports Network and the Apex Racing TV channels for those ones. Also, the V8 European Supercar Championship as an off week this week, so and then later on Saturday we've got the Formula Renault 3.5 official championship. That'll be on Saturday at 20 GMT. Then with Australian Daylight Savings Time being in effect from this Sunday, 6th of October, the AMF GT will be on the same time, Australian Eastern Daylight Time, 2045 local time for that one, but they will be pushed back an hour. Oh, sorry, pushed forward. Sorry, hang on, trying to get this right. It'll be at 9:45 GMT instead of the 10:45 GMT slot that it is normally broadcasted at, so it'll be an hour earlier for everyone else in the world. And then on Monday, we'll have the World GT Championship on the iRacing Esports Network at 19:10 GMT. On Monday, that'll be on the iRacing Esports Network, and then we'll be back for the iRacing official IMSA Championship. That will be at 8:45 GMT next week, due to the fact of this being the Aussie SOF for this championship, and with the way that the daylight savings times have affected the time slot. So we'll be broadcasting this one 2 hours earlier than normal, given that the fact that this race will, or this normal time slot will be at 21:45 Australian Eastern Daylight Time. So that's the reason why for the change. So I will be back next week at the earlier time of 8:45 GMT, but it will be the same series as always. So certainly looking forward to everyone's company for that one.
Yeah, absolutely. Certainly looking forward to that, and a lot of great racing coming up. As you say, the big change next week's going to be the shift into daylight savings time here in Australia. So, as you say, that's something that we'll all need to keep an eye out for, but should be pretty easy to get to.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that will pretty much wrap it up, I think, for tonight's broadcast. Want to thank everyone for tuning in, both on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. I certainly enjoy your company for that one, and thanks as always, Daniel, for commentating alongside me tonight. I greatly appreciate that.
No, certainly a great pleasure, mate. Thoroughly enjoyed it, and thank you to all the viewers tuning in and watching the.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll be back next week at the time of 8:45 GMT on the Tuesday, the 8th of October. We certainly look forward to your company then for round number 5 of the iRacing IMSA Sportscar Championship at the Circuit of the Americas. So we wish everyone a fantastic week, and we will see you next week for the iRacing IMSA Sportscar Championship. Take care.